Even as a young child, she already displayed self-sacrifice. She is one of the patron saints of the Americas and remains the primary patroness of Peru. She was known for her life of severe penance and care for the poor. This is the story of Saint Rose of Lima, or Santa Rosa de Lima, the first person born in the Americas to be canonized as a saint. She is the patron saint of embroiderers, of gardeners and florists, of people ridiculed or misunderstood for their piety, for the resolution of family quarrels, against vanity, and the indigenous peoples of the Americas. She is also the patroness of several places in the world, across the Americas, Europe, and Asia. Saint Rose of Lima was born Isabel Flores de Oliva on April 20, 1586 in the city of Lima, which at that time was under the viceroyalty of Peru of the Spanish Empire. Her parents had 11 children and she was the seventh. She was the daughter of a soldier in the Imperial Spanish Army, whose family was from Baños de Montemayor in Cáceres, Spain. Her mother was a native of Lima, as were her maternal grandparents. When she was an infant, she got her name Rose as a servant claimed to have seen her face transform into the flower. In 1597 she was confirmed by a man who would also be declared a saint, Toribio de Mogrovejo, the Archbishop of Lima. Around that time, she also formally took the name of Rose and would use it for the rest of her life. As a young girl, she emulated Catherine of Siena, a well-known Dominican tertiary and doctor of the Church. In secret, Rose began fasting 3 times a week and performing severe penances. As Rose was growing up, she was soon admired for her beauty. Instead of encouraging her admirers, she tried her best to hide her beauty. Rose cut off her hair and rubbed peppers on her face, which turned men off. This was against society's norms. In colonial Peru, a young woman's future was often tied to marriage. Her parents hoped for a wealthy match, but Rose refused. She chose a life of penance and prayer, despite her family's resistance. Her friends and family were encouraging her to entertain these suitors, but she rejected them all. Instead, she spent many hours contemplating the Blessed Sacrament which she received daily. Despite her parents' great desire for her to marry, she was determined to take a vow of virginity. This devotion to God despite her parents' objections was similar to the situation of Saint Catherine of Siena, who joined the religious community. Eventually, her father gave in and gave her a room by herself in the family home. Aside from fasting, she also took a permanent abstinence from eating meat. Rose also began helping the sick and hungry around her community. She would even bring them home to her room and take care of them. To raise funds in this endeavor, she sold lace and embroidery. Eventually, she became a recluse, leaving her room only for her visits to church. Rose wanted to become a nun, but her father forbade it. Instead, she entered the Third Order of St. Dominic while still living in her parents' home. At 20, she donned the habit of a tertiary and took a vow of perpetual virginity. She also wanted more hours to devote to prayer, and as a result, she only allowed herself 2 hours of sleep a night at most. Rose also prayed and did penance, choosing seclusion in a hut in the family garden where she endured a life of severe austerity and asceticism. She donned a heavy crown made of silver, with small spikes on the inside, in emulation of the crown of thorns worn by Christ. She also slept on a bed of broken pottery and glass. Rose lived this way for 11 years, with intervals of ecstasy. When she was in her mid-20s, one of the most incredible miracles attributed to her happened. Dutch privateers had threatened the Peruvian coast. The pirates had defeated the Peruvian fleet protecting the city and had now invaded the harbor. This was also the time of the Reformation, and they intended to loot the city and the churches. In fear, the citizens hid in the churches. In the church of Santo Domingo, Rose stirred the people into prayer. It is said that as the pirates stormed the church, they were confronted by a young girl ablaze in light, holding a monstrance with the Blessed Sacrament. This terrified the pirates, who turned away, fled to their ships, and sailed away. An unexpected result of this incident was the city began holding her in higher esteem. Still, not everyone was happy. Other religious people, probably due to jealousy, had Rose examined by the church. The inquisitors only affirmed what many people had already known, that in the midst of her suffering, she was enjoying God's favor. Rose of Lima died on August 24, 1617, a date which according to stories was something she had prophesied. Her funeral was a major event, attended by the city's highest officials. Prominent men took turns in carrying her coffin. This later led to the tradition on her feast day where groups of men take turns carrying her statue adorned with roses around Lima. Rose was beatified by Pope Clement IX on May 10, 1667, and canonized on April 12, 1671, by Pope Clement X. She was the first Catholic in the Americas to be declared a saint. She was declared the Patroness of Peru, the New World, and the Philippines. Her shrine, alongside those of her friends Martin de Porres and John Macias, is currently located inside of the convent of St. Dominic in Lima. The Catholic Church said that many miracles followed her death. There were stories that she had cured a leper. At the time of her death, the city of Lima was said to smell like roses. Roses were also said to start falling from the sky. Many places in the New World are named Santa Rosa after her. Her remains are at the Basilica and Convent of Santo Domingo in Lima. Her feast day is on August 23rd, but several Latin American countries such as Peru celebrate it on August 30th, which is also a public holiday in her honor. There is a whole-day procession wherein men take turns carrying her statue, followed by a band that plays music. Large crowds are always in this procession. Saint Rose's skull, adorned with a crown of roses, is on public display at the Basilica in Lima, Peru, along with that of Saint Martin de Porres. Thank you for watching. Why do you think Saint Rose of Lima continues to be venerated and loved across the globe? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Please help us share the good word by sharing, liking, and subscribing.